So now you're familiar with the Practice Labs interface. Let's have a look at each of the technologies that we cover in a little more detail, just so you get a flavor for what you can actually do in each of these different areas. So let's have a look at the Cisco bundle, and this would be presented to you if you had only purchased the Cisco bundle. This is all you would see, but let's kind of go through the Cisco Labs so you get a brief understanding of how they hang together. So let's start right at the beginning. Cisco 100, 101, ICND1. Let's go ahead and click on that. And you can see, if you've kind of watched any of our past videos, the structure is exactly the same for all the different technology types that we cover. The tracking indicator is still there. Now, in this case, let's go right to the beginning. Configuring and verify initial switch configuration. We take it into the Practice Lab itself, and you can see the infrastructure on the left-hand side here, and the lab instructions on the right. Now, in our Cisco environment, you're accessing real routers and switches. This isn't any emulator or a simulated type environment. It's actually access to the real stuff as you would do if you went out and purchased it yourself. So again, within the introduction, it tells us what we need to power on. So if we have a look in that's NY-Access 1, we go ahead and power that on. And in actual fact, within the Cisco environments, we include a Windows server because a lot of the new the Cisco tools have a graphical interface for you to go that allows you to configure and manage these devices from that platform. So we'll power that on as well. Now, in the same way within the Microsoft world, what you're seeing on the screen here is exactly as if you took that piece of hardware, took a console cable from your PC or laptop, plugged it into the back of the switch or router. This is exactly what you would see in any terminal emulator, as real world as you can get. So as we wait for the device to power on, we can have a look at the lab guides, and you can see you're configuring a Cisco 3750 switch. This is what it looks like connected to in our data center. You are actually working on a piece of equipment that looks like that. And as we power on the device, we'll kind of give you an overview of what you can do within the Cisco stack. So once the hardware has initialized and is ready to configure, and this can take a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, there's no getting away from the hardware, speeding up the hardware. It is what it is. We tried speaking to Cisco, but they wouldn't do anything for us. So now you can just go ahead on the screen. Let's go through, and have a look what we can do. As you can see, it is a command line interface. You now go ahead and type in the commands that are required from you within the lab guide and work your way through it. Now, I know there'll be those of you out there who would say, well, we could just go ahead and buy ourselves a router and a switch, and I've got a computer and I can kind of do what you guys do. Now, that's well and good, but if you have a look at the sheer amount of infrastructure that you do actually get access to within the Cisco labs, just have a look at the lab diagram. You can see you get access to an IP phone. You can simulate WAN connectivity. There's so much more than you can do from a home network on a locally configured infrastructure. We have the back-end stuff to support a really wide range of technologies. And as you work your way through the Cisco courses, these technologies build on each other. Now, we don't expect you to go and do the basic configuration. As you get to the more advanced topics, we go and configure the routers and switches for you, so you're only working on the specialized area required for that particular piece of content. So things like configure and verify OSPF in a single area. We will actually go ahead and build some pre-configuration on the box. Let's have a look at how that works. As you can see, everything on the left-hand side is starting to power up, the base configuration being applied to it, and you will then just work on those specific areas. So there's no setup specifically required on your behalf. Let's just have a look at the Windows server, which is included within the Cisco environment, and you can see the tools that make up some of this technology set. So as you can see, we use things like PuTTY for secure access, SSH access, the SDM tool, some TFTP, Wireshark for capturing traffic. So full range of technologies, again, that is quite difficult to replicate on a home setup. So now we've had a look at the Cisco lab configuration. Let's jump into the next technology that we support and have labs for, and we go back to our full course list here, and that's the CompTIA stack. So the CompTIA range of products is very much focused at working with individuals that are trying to gain certification in that particular area, or people are very new to IT, and a good stepping stone into some of the more advanced topics. So we cover a full range of different CompTIA certifications, but let's have a look at something like the CompTIA Security Plus. Again, this should be now familiar to you guys, seeing the layout of our labs. Let's go straight into the first one. And in this case, the lab environment that you presented with includes a domain controller, a Windows 7 server, a Kali server, a vulnerable Linux box, even an old XP workstation in there, so we can run some tests against to see if there are any vulnerabilities. So you're getting quite a wide range of access to quite a wide range of technologies within the lab infrastructure. Again, trying to simulate this at home, and there's something we didn't touch on earlier within the Cisco labs, is not only do you get access to the hardware, which is great, but also the lab guides guiding you through those exam objectives, really to crystallize that learning that you would have done through the courses is invaluable. And there are thousands and thousands of modules. You know, if you start looking at combining all the different technology sets together within the full lab library. So let's just wait for the labs power on. And again, as much as you can use this and follow the lab guides, there is this element where you can actually just go and experiment on your own, especially in the security world and using Backtrack Kali Linux. You'll be able to carry out a few different scenarios. So let's just wait for the server to power on, and we can have a little play with the security side of things. The reason I wanted to show you the CompTIA Security Plus course in particular is because it has access to some Linux servers as well. Now, unfortunately, we don't provide Linux access directly through the console. It's actually managed via a remote desktop client or a terminal client. Now, the reason we do it is twofold. Is really in the real world, let's call it, most guys would be using just the command line version to access the Linux boxes, but you wouldn't specifically be accessing the full console. So we've tried to compensate for that by giving you access to these different viewers. When we launch access to the VNC Viewer client, let's put in the VNC server of the Kali Backtrack server, and let's connect. So we prompted for a password, and the password would be defined within the lab guides, and now you have access to the Kali Linux desktop, and from here you could run a whole number of exploits, and a lot of it is detailed within the lab guides themselves. But this is just an overview of how you connect to a Linux box within the lab platform. So I'll go ahead and use the SSH clients as well. Just waiting for a password prompt. And you'll notice whenever you are using Linux, using something like PuTTY, the password hashes are actually not displayed. So it seems like the keyboard's not working, but it is actually the characters just aren't displayed within the client. And the key piece, as we do with all of our other courses, you follow the lab guides, you can run exploits, and you know what, again, linking back to our reset function, if you break something, that's fine, just hit the reset button, everything goes back to its original state, and you can carry on from that point. So within the CompTIA stack, we do the full range of kind of what we would call the more popular titles, A+, IT Fundamentals, Linux Plus, Network Plus, Server Plus, and we've just touched on the Security Plus. As we move on to the next range of titles, in our Microsoft stack, which we have the best coverage for, the widest range of coverage, I should say, let's go ahead and look at something in a little bit more detail in terms of our application-based labs. So if we have a look at, let's have a look at Exchange. There we go, Exchange Server. Again, just to give you an overview of the type of infrastructure that you would be presented with. In this case, very extensive, 2 domain controllers, some CAS servers, a couple of mailbox servers, and an edge server. Very difficult to host that number of servers if you're trying to build your own lab. And again, the lab guide's there to guide you through all the different elements. So just will show you very briefly what an email server would look like. Just power on a few things here. So once all the servers are powered on, just to give you an overview, you accessing the real software here. So this you don't get trial versions. This is a full-blown version of Microsoft Exchange 2013 for you to go and experiment and develop your practical skills in. Now you can imagine if you'd never seen this technology before, and linking back to a previous topic, if you went for a job interview and someone had asked you, have you come across Exchange 2013, you can actually visualize what it looks like and answer with more confidence that yes, you have, and you have done some lab work on it. And certainly, I think by having seen it and used it, you're far more confident in your answers than you would be otherwise. So that is it for one of our more advanced topics within the Microsoft space. And then let's have a final look at VMware. Now, a very hot topic within the IT sector at the moment is virtualization. So if we have a look at one of our VMware courses, again, everything follows the same principles that we've talked about in the past. Installing Virtual Center, basic configuration. Let's go ahead and have a look at what is made up, or what our VMware labs are made up of. Now, a lot of people have asked us, are these the official VMware labs? And, we're not claiming to be the official provider of VMware. This is really for people who have never come across the application or technology before and don't have the infrastructure to run something like this. This is really where it's pitched at. The lab guides are following the official certification objectives and outlines, but this isn't a direct replacement for the VMware-based solution. So let's just get this up and running, and I'll give you a quick view of what the VMware infrastructure looks like. just a quick overview in terms of infrastructure. So you would have access to domain controller, virtual center. There are 3 ESX hosts located in this lab, some shared storage, and an application service for some of the more advanced topics and specialized areas. In this case, we're looking at the cloud course. So some of the cloud applications would be located on that server. So let's just wait for everything to power on. So once the servers have all loaded, you have the ability to, let's connect directly to one of the ESX hosts. And all the usernames and passwords would be detailed within the courseware itself. And again, this is access to the full version of ESX. And now you have the ability to go and play and configure, the application of the technology to how you wish, or following the lab guides. So that gives you an overview of the different technology stacks that we cover and we work with. Hopefully you appreciate there's a large amount of content for you to work with, and enough infrastructure for you to develop those practical skills within these different areas. And I think certainly as you're starting your journey, or someone looking to progress into a different role, having the hands-on piece is crucial to that development. I think having the good base understanding is excellent, but being able to demonstrate the hands-on skills on top of your theoretical knowledge is almost imperative, and I think gives you a much better start than someone who doesn't have those skills